So it'll be giving you guys option to accept it or to decline it. If you decline it, only your voices would be heard, not your faces. So I'm just getting all the parents are here. So we'll start with the books. What do you guys keep asking us about? What books you should do for 11 plus? I'll do that. And then you'll have a chance to talk to him. His name is Amit. You'll have a chance to talk to him. He'll be explaining you guys how did he start his process about 11 plus, when did he start. So it can give you guys a little idea how to go about it. So we can just tell you the books. These are some of the books I know all of you know about bond books. They are new type of bond books. I don't know if you guys are aware about these type of bond books. They have started this year only. They are better than one what you guys used to do previously. And the best thing about these books are they go topic wise, which Bond hates. Never used to have this. This is something I really like about the Bond books. They have like, if you look at each book, it has topics in it. You have the topic, and then you have topic wise assessment. This is something which is good. I would highly recommend you all, if you're starting your journey, to go with these books because these books are really good, the Bond ones. And when you finish your bond books 10 to 11, if you're starting in year 4, I would say that don't go for 8 to 9. Just start from 9 to 10. Because as you guys are aware that 11 plus, the level is really high. It's not the level what we guys normally do. Like if my child is 8 years, I need to be 8. I always have this problem with the parents. When the child is in year 4, if I send them the list of the books 9 to 10, they're like, oh, my child is not even 9, my child is 8. Do you really want me to start 9 to 10 books? And the thing would be, yes, I do. And these are the books you should start with. I'll keep getting people who are coming in. So don't worry about that. So these are the books, the bond ones. Try doing with that. And how it goes, if you're going for, I'm talking for the now, just try to mute yourself from your side if you're recently joined. So we have these books like these are 10 to 11. I'm talking about year fives. If your child is in year five and you're still doing 9 to 10, I would say that stop now. Start doing 10 to 11 because you will be struggling throughout. Because after Easter is the time you should be doing focusing more on vocabulary and things like that. So I'm just going to tell you some books what we guys have made. And these are the books we also do in ALT. I'm just saying the short form if you guys don't know, that's a ambitious learning. So these are the books we normally do in ambitious learning. It's a comprehension book because I have seen that children always struggle in comprehension. So these are the comprehension books we do. And the other comprehension books you could buy from Bond also has a comprehension books. It starts from 9 to 10. I know that for sure. And they only work, that is only has comprehension. So our books are also good in comprehension. The best book, what we like, and all of our students have really done well because of these books last year, is this one, the vocabulary book. They used to hate me doing this book. This year also, they hate me doing this book. But I tell you guys, this book has helped all of them a lot because this book has list of vocabulary words, and then they also have to fill in the blanks with these vocabulary words. It has opposites and all the things what you need in vocabulary is in this book. So you have book 1 and you also have book 2. So these are the books the parents would love them, but the kids will hate them. These are one of the books which I like the most. And another books, if your child is struggling in any of the topics like end term, all of the topics, I don't know if Bond does it, but we do it. So if you look in our books, we do that. And we have also started making 10 minutes now. So 10 minutes book is recommended if you guys finish all the topics. Then you should go for 10 minutes. That also applies to Bond. Don't go for 10 minutes before you complete any of the assessment books, because assessment books are the one which gives you a child idea about these things. So I can ask Amit one question about time management. How did you manage time for Niyam? Because I think Niam was struggling in time in the beginning, but towards the end, he was good in time.
Yeah, so you mean in terms of time on how long he was taking to do the papers, or time
Yeah,
in terms
papers.
of
Yeah. Normally, kids take a lot of time of completing the papers.
yeah, so with practicing, constant practicing, I guess what we also used to do is put a timer for Liam so he can have a look himself what time he's got to left. We sort of always taught him how to break things down. Um, Always to say, okay, if you're going to tackle a paper, you can see there's that many questions to it. How much time have you dedicated to each question? And if you're stuck on a question, don't spend too much time on it. Move on to the next one. Make sure the ones you can do. And then you can always go back to the ones you can't do. So that was a key play for Liam, to get him past that and saying, actually, because what you would do, the ones he would struggle with, he would spend loads of time. And then at the end, he's ran out. Um, and you lose marks on that straight away. So
I
I
know
think
he
it's
used to
just
do
that,
with me also. Yeah. He
yeah,
used
I
to
think
always
it's that
tell me.
just yeah, that constant practicing. And to be fair, even to the last exam he sort of sat when he was doing his 11 plus, he used that method, the same method that we trained him throughout. And he said, Dad, the last question for St. Olave's for the last second to third or last maths question was really difficult. And he said, in my head, I worked out it's going to take me at least 15 minutes to work that out. So I skipped it and I concentrated on the ones I could do. And then I said, Did you go back to it? And he said, No, I didn't have time to go back to it, but I'm glad I didn't spend the time on it.
But
Because he
still, you
goes,
got into that school
yeah.
also.
So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to get all the questions right, but it just shows you. But it's having that time management. It's very, very
Very
important.
important in 11 plus. I know.
And that only comes by practice.
I know. I remember that this was with them. Because when you start doing papers, I have seen in the tuition also, the kids always struggle. There's not a single child who will struggle. And don't give them the exact time what's written on the paper. Because the paper is, I used to give them less time. And always I used
Yeah.
to be like, they used to tell me, oh, you're giving us less time. The paper is 60 minutes, you're giving us 50 minutes.
Mm.
Because I always used to give them at least 10 minutes less what the paper is actually telling them to do it. Because if you do that, it's give them more pressure and they do more better with the time. And in the beginning,
Yeah.
pressure is something they don't like. Because I remember in my country, we used to have after year exams every time, but they don't have it. I think so. You guys have it in private schools, but the state schools don't have that. So this is what you guys need to do. Like time management is something which is very, very, very important in 11 plus. This is some things you have to do in that. And there is one game, I'll tell you the one which I used to play in my tuition and everybody likes that is Wordle. If you go for Wordle Unlimited, this is something which is good for your vocabulary because this is something they all used to play this and their Niam was very fast in this and the my new year fives they're also fast because this also comes with practice so they have to find the word for today. So this was something because if you tell them to study all the time, study, there would be a time they'll be like, oh, we don't like coming to the tuition. Tuition is horrible. But if you do things like this in your house also, if you're practicing papers, these are some of the things you should just try doing with them. And these are the things they will love. And there's also, I think so. Now the new kids have told me there's something for maths also. I don't know what maths Wordle is, but I used to do this one with them. This is something good. And also, when you're applying for grammar schools, this is something what parents do. They just apply for any grammar school because it's free. I know parents, they live in Essex. They were applying to St. Olive's Grammar School in Orpington. How would your child travel from Essex to Orpington? This is something which is not too good. So always look at the schools you're applying and just think about your child, the travel of your child, because end of the day, you don't want your child just to be traveling all the time. And just don't apply for grammar schools just because of that they are free of charge. You guys just applied for for St. Olive's. That's it. What private schools did you apply for, Amir?
So we applied for Sevenoaks, City, London City, St. Paul's, and Westminster.
But at least you did three, four. I know parents, how many grammar schools they had in the list? 12
Um,
grammar schools.
yeah, we only had the one grammar school in there, which was St. Olaf's. So we had the four private, and the grammar school was our backup. Um, if things didn't go our way.
I knew he would always get in.
Yeah.
He was a clever one. So what did he got scholarships also in some of them?
So he got offered a academic scholarship at Sevenoaks. He also got a academic award at City if he was to take the place, and that's purely just from his 11 plus exams and his interviews. So they based it only on that. So he must have done very, very well on exams. So yeah, it was a nice feeling to have.
I know. Can you tell us about the scholarships? Because some parents don't know how the scholarships
So
do work.
a lot of schools. So Niam his final choice was Westminster. So he's going for Westminster Under School, which he's already started. Although he doesn't start officially until September, they've already got the children in every Saturday to start classes, so they can go on be at the same level with the students already there. So I think
Wow.
when you're selecting the schools, y- it's not so much what you want, but it's what the child wants as well. So I think where you go and visit all the schools, take your children with you, let them have a look at it, let them get the feel of it. So when we went to have a look at these schools, Nian was very adamant from the very start and said, I like Westminster. Now, not trying to get his hopes up too high, but Westminster only has 28 places with 700 applicants. So it is one of the toughest schools in the UK to get in, with Eton and Harrow, them three being the top tiers of hard schools to get in. So trying not to break his confidence at the same time, but saying, look, give it all your best because you're going to, if you want this that bad, only you could put it on the effort. And there will be loads of times you'll have arguments with your children because they'll be like, I'm fed up of this studying. But it's just that reminder, because if they've seen the school and they see what they want to achieve, and my theory to Niam was always like, you put in the hard work for the year. And then after that, I will leave you alone for the whole summer holiday. But it's having the child to do the dedication. There's no point. If they're not focused on it, they're not going to study. They're going to want it. They're going to want to have it themselves. Um, Niam, just to give you a brief before Niam stopped gaming. We do not allow gaming. I've seen it go wrong horribly for parents when the PlayStation comes out or the Xbox comes out, and me and Niam made that agreement and said, look, for the year, let's put it aside. He probably switched it on probably once every 2 months, just for an hour. But we came to that compromise and said, look, if you want it so bad, you're going to have to put the effort in. Um, and he started at tuitions was it about a year before 11 plus? It's
Yeah,
just
year
over a year.
four.
Yeah, just over 11. So that's the time we had to prepare for this. I think as a parent, we were a bit naive on the importance of it. I think we just thought, oh, everything will get done by the school, tuitions, and that's it. And it's only when reality hit, when other parents start talking nearer to the time, and you think, actually, there's a lot of focus gone into this. So we had to work very, very hard over the Christmas holidays. And bless Niam, he was on the dining table 7 hours a day studying. There was no
Wow.
Christmas in our household. We had Christmas Day off, but every other day was 7 hours sitting there and studying. And to be fair, he didn't moan, he didn't argue about it. He wanted it. He sort of said, and all we did was go over and over test papers. Um, Comprehension, like you said, comprehension is a tough one. What it is, every child can read. And what we soon established was he can read fully, but he couldn't understand what he was reading. And the more we started questioning and saying, what did that actually mean? His his theory on things weren't what the book was trying to suggest. And that's something that they'll get caught out on, because every exam you went to, they will test you on that. Um, a good technique was to actually not get your children to read to you, but you to read to the children, and then ask them and say, actually, let's read a couple of pages every evening and say, let's read this book together. I will read to you. You tell me what it's just happened in that book. Because the reading they were able to do by this age anyway, I would have presumed. And it's very good to fool you to say, I'm reading my book, mum, and just sit in a corner, or dad, I'm just reading my book. And Liam used to do that. And he said, I've done my half an hour reading. But we were naive to think he actually did, he wasn't understanding what he was reading. And it's only when we started digging a little bit deeper, we realized that. And I remember I used to come to you
And
and say, I don't think he understands. I don't think he's understanding. Comprehension so important. So we even bought on similar to I know you just showed some books. We bought some cards, 11 plus verb
yeah, 11 plus
word
cards are good.
cards,
And
and
atom
every
learning
day.
is also good. You join that also.
Yeah, we joined Atom Learning,
Atom
pay
learning is
for
good.
it. I didn't pay for it for a long time, and he kept used to say to me, "Dad, everybody at school's paid for it." And I was like, "Oh, you don't need to pay for it." And I did. At the end, I did pay for it. It's better to start that early. If you can pay for the subscription for a year, pay for the subscription. It's got your target schools in there, what schools you want to aim to go for, and start sitting the test papers. He used to do them time after time. It was every evening. I know they're busy. They come home from school. They've got their clubs. We're so busy trying to sort everything else out, but we had it a pattern where we said, actually, you come home every day and you do two papers on Atom, an English and a
And
maths. You have to do that every single
maths, he
day.
was really good.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
he was like,
even yeah, yeah,
maths, he
uh,
was the one who used to help me with maths. If I'm
and
stuck
his
with some question, he used to tell me, this is
his
the way how
school
you do it.
his school says the same thing. When we just had his open evening, they said they will miss him very much because he actually corrects. He had the confidence to correct people. If he thought it wasn't right, he would argue his point to justify why he thought it wasn't right.
So yeah, I remember
Um,
in a bond paper, one of the answers were wrong in bond paper. He was after my life, post on Facebook. Let all the parents, let all the members give you the answer. And then you realize that my answer is right and this bond
yeah,
is wrong. I said, how can bond be wrong? No, they can be wrong. This is wrong. And he actually made me write on the Facebook group
yeah,
the answer.
he does that with everything. So it's to be make sure they're acquisitive, to make sure they're confident to ask the questions. A good thing also when if you've got the time now, if I could go back, I would have prepared a lot sooner than what we did. We did it very in a short time, and uh, uh, bless Liam because the pressure was put onto him then because we as parents just let it carry on until we knew actually we need to put our foot on the accelerator here.
No, this
If
is
you've got
something I want to tell you. Sorry to interrupt you. Parents always have a hope only on the tuition center. They are
yeah,
like, if the child is in the tuition center, the tutor is going to the one who's going to make them pass. You know, tutor is not a machine. If the child and the parents don't work, we can't do anything. So we keep
uh,
saying, like in my tuition, I say the kids, what do you have done the papers? Because I have a habit of putting them everything on Google Classroom. And the parents keep asking us what we should do. I said, go back, revise the papers again. Because if I were you, because I did 11 plus with my child, and the thing I used to do was whatever they used to do in school is the same way what they do in tuition. Go back home, make them do that again. Because we can just cover all the topics, all the papers, but the effort should come from the parents and the child itself.
I think that's 100%. I think yes, you'll find everyone in your school probably uses tuitions. They won't say it. Everyone will sort of say, "No, I
Everyone
don't
uses,
have
yeah.
tuitions." Everyone seems to have it. That's just a little bit of the iceberg on the cherry. It's what everything else you're going to have to put into
You
it.
guys only
Uh,
had one. I have kids in my tuition now in the year fives who are here. Three tutors. And
yeah,
then also the parents come and tell me, oh, you know, my child has three tutors, including you. Why it's not improving? I said, first, pressure. I mean, I can't tell the parents, your child has so much of pressure. Imagine that you just give them pressure. And the reason they don't give me the reason, oh, you know, we didn't do the homework. I said, why? Because we had homework from the other tutor also.
yeah. But that's what it will come down to because they will get school homework, they'll get tuition homework, then they'll get their parents' homework on top. So, and the clubs on top. So, yeah, I would probably, I don't think three tuitions is the right way because also you're teaching three different methods. It's probably better just to stick to the one.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's stick to one.
it confuses a child, even with tuition sometimes. Liam would come home and say, well, my school says it like this, tuition says it. So, where you got two, you can still play with it. I think when you go OTT and have three tutors or four tutors, I think you're probably putting more confusion on the child than anything to say actually there's too many views coming in now. But I guess I guess I
Should
would,
we leave the questions to the parents now? I mean, I
yeah,
think so.
yeah,
They want to ask you something.
yeah, go for it.
Anybody wants to ask something here? So, do anyone have any question? You can ask. No,
No question.
they look very.
If any of the children want to ask my boy, I can get him. You can ask him if you've got any
Oh,
questions.
he's a good speaker. Do you want him to come and speak?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Niam, could you come here for a second?
Arush is always ready. No, Arush, do you want to ask him something?
These boys are
I know.
preparing for their 11 plus. So
Hi, Niam. How are you?
Hello. Hello. I've got a question. Like, how are you like able to manage all the pressure?
Niam,
sorry, he's
yeah,
just
he
dropped the
dropped
mic.
his.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me put it onto the laptop. Try like, can you hear?
Niam, could you hear the question? What he asked you?
Yeah. I do know that going through the 11 plus is a lot of pressure. The main source that I found that was relaxing and just got me out was just like to be able after maybe, I don't know, like let's say 1 hour of work, just get off the table and have 15 minutes by myself doing whatever I like. That could be your hobbies, which for me I found was art, and sometimes I also like to complete a puzzle. I did that puzzle piece. So it's just taking breaks in between all your gaps, and that way you'll feel like it's shorter and you'll be able to manage.
And play Wordle. No, Niam?
Yeah, he likes Wordle.
I think I know what it is today.
You know the word.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember.
Thank you.
Oh
It
yeah,
might be different, It might be different because it's unlimited one.
it's different.
Yeah.
He's got another question, I think.
I think somebody wants to ask you something. Anybody else?
Do you recommend any books to read? That means you mentioned, right, the parents have to read to the children. Which books do you recommend usually? Because we have got a book list from the school as per the assessment in the February that is done from his school. And that's a big list, of course. But do you have any preference which help to your child
Uh, I,
basically
I
in vocabulary?
I guess what it was,
Mm.
Ian was never probably, I wouldn't say you were interested in books as so much. So I think we took him to the bookshop quite a few times and we let him pick a book. That was his age range and pick something that was, if you talk to Waterstones are really good because if you sort of explain where he is at the moment, where your child is, and we sort of said, look, he's not into books. We want to get him into books. Something like Harry Potter is really
Yeah.
difficult read. Like every child will say, I want to read Harry Potter. It is a difficult read. Unless you've read books throughout and you're used to it, going straight into it is not that easy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when we went, what books did you pick that was similar to Harry Potter, but an easier read that you can start understanding?
What?
The books you're reading at the moment, the
Oh, that
yeah,
book on Good Thieves, Catherine Rundle.
Good Thieves, Catherine Roddle.
Oh,
That
also the Scandal series.
that was it. The
What
Scandal
is it?
series.
Scandal series.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Yeah, but it's again, I could see one of the boys are probably saying he reads it, but it's finding that book that they want to read, because we can force any book list that a school gives you. If they're not interested,
Yeah.
they're not going to enjoy it. And and we're trying to make them enjoy it. Even the school he goes to, they say the reading is probably one of the most main thing. Even
Yes.
Westminster, when we go there, they said the best thing they can do is read. That is the number one thing to get them past everything.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks for that.
yeah.
The thing I observed with my son, who is currently in year 4, is that he completed 2 of the Harry Potter books, he understands the story. But my thing is to get the vocabulary in the book too. That's what it is. I feel that means how to make him you get the vocabulary. He understands the story. He can tell the whole story in just what is the in summary is fine, but getting the vocabulary from the book is challenging for me, for my son.
Yes. So
I think so.
one
He's
of the things
young. He's
about
only in year 5.
yeah,
Year 4.
one of the things about reading the book, it'll be just for you to question him a paragraph. Because to understand the concept of the book is fine, that you know actually it's about the wizards and it's about magic and stuff. But when they say certain details in the book, that's where he couldn't pick up.
Exactly.
He would make his own theory about it. But the whole story was right, what he can describe it, but he couldn't describe those passages. So then to use that words became impossible because he was guessworking the words. He'd carry on reading and say, well, this sounds like it's a part of this, so this word must mean this. And we stopped him watching Harry Potter movies. We said, unless you understand the book, you're not going to watch the Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, he
And
doesn't.
only once you've read the book, complete the book, then we will allow you to watch that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way, but
Even I tell him the same, my son.
yeah.
Yeah.
Creative writing.
Mm.
Liam used to have to write us a story quite often, didn't you? How many times did I used to make you just write a story? I used to give him a random topic. He would come to me and I'd say, write me a story about a boy and a tree. And he'd have to go away, and I'd give him half an hour or 45 minutes. He'd go and sit in a quiet room, not in front of a TV, not in front of any noise. He'd go in the dining room, he'd go and sit there, and he'd write me a story for 45 minutes. Then my wife's quite good with English, I'm good with maths. So my wife would then review it with him and say, actually, what's the kind of stuff mum would say you'd have to include in your stories?
There's like this very cool wacky phrase called shampoo. It stands for all the types of techniques you can use. Simile, hyperbole, alliteration, metaphor,
Yeah.
perception, onomatopoeia, and openings.
Yeah, Raj, दोनों seminars हैं. It's share.
I remember, Asima, you gave me like a piece of creative writing called The Restaurant. It's like this.
Yeah. And I had a different thing of that creative writing.
That took me 4 weeks to complete it and get it.
We got him to do it 4 times. Literally
Yeah.
4 times, because he'd come back and he'd do a creative writing piece, which you gave him a picture, and he had to describe what that picture was. I think it
And
was
he
a restaurant.
described the surroundings of the picture, not the
Yeah.
picture actually.
So we made him do that 4 times because
So do you give him any clues other than that boy in the tree? Like, for example, if you take the boy in the tree topic, do you give him any other clues or just that one? Because I help him in some clues how to build up the story. That's what I want to.
I don't.
Okay.
Literally, there was at the I wanted to see where his imagination would take him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he actually became, after doing that exercise, he actually loved writing. And he didn't like reading, but he loved writing and he loved putting new words into it. So if today we were learn a word, he learned on his word cards, because we said every day you have to learn 20 words and the meanings of them. And we'd test him in the evening and say, what does this mean? What does this mean? And he would 100% use those in his story. He'd go back the next day and say, actually, I'm going to add them in somehow. Sometimes we have to say, stop using them, because now your story sounds like you've just put loads of random words in. And
Yeah,
you've
it had all the vocabulary in it without
Yeah.
any making sense.
Yeah, so I said, without
It was like,
flowing, you're losing the flow because you're trying to use all these words in there. So it was that generally he started liking creative writing, which was good. We got to that point. where he was able to do it. And I think for all his exams, that was one area we were not worried about, because I think he can write better than I can. When he writes a story and when I read it, I think I can never write like that. I never was able to, and I never can still. So I think that's what it is. It's probably using the word cards rather than him picking it out of the books.
Oh,
No, there
It-
is one 11 plus word cards. It's called 11 plus only
That's,
itself, I
that's
think.
the one we had. You
Yeah,
could buy, there's a
that's the
couple of
one.
sets of them. There's different packs. I think there's a pack 1, pack 2, and pack 3, or that two packs.
can you put in the message, please, so that I
Yeah, we
can?
will show you. It's in Amazon. If you write in
Okay.
Amazon, it's there.
Naomi, have you got them there in the cupboard? You can just show them what they look like. And
They are white color.
yeah, the other thing, I guess, yeah, I think that definitely helps with the
But these
creative
are
writing.
they have CGP.
Yeah,
These are the
those
ones,
are.
the one
Those-
we say
that-
always, this one.
Oh, he done the other one, but yeah, they're probably more or less like all the same.
You must have done the CGP one, this
Yeah,
one.
he done the CGP, but he done those ones.
They also have age groups in that.
Oh,
But there's a lot of cards. There's 200 cards, and he did learn all of them. And we'll test them every now often. If we're going in the car, it was a perfect thing in the car to take with us
yes.
and say, actually, what does this mean this week? So the car journey sort of turned out a little bit better. Okay. I think we did that. The other thing was, nearer to the time, we brought I think on the internet. Sorry.
Oh,
I-
pity.
I think on the internet we brought past exam papers called from Exam Plus.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, Exam Plus. They are expensive. I was shocked by how much they charge for
They're
past
good.
papers.
They're actually good. The standard is very nice of
Yeah.
that papers.
Yeah, they
Is
are.
it exam paper plus?
Exam paper plus, yeah.
Okay.
Exam Paper Plus. You can, certain schools they have past papers from there that you can buy, but your likes of Westminster and St. Paul's, they don't, because Westminster and St. Paul's don't share their papers. So when I write an email to Exam Plus saying, where can I buy past papers for these schools? Because the good thing is, like, if you're applying for City or anything like that, you can get the format of the exam papers, which helps the child understand. So when they're going to an exam for the first time, it's not a shock, because every exam paper these schools will do looks different, and the way they present it's different. So it's just him understanding it before he's going in to say, this is what you're going to be expected to do. This is the layout. This is the time they're going to give you for English. This is the time they're going to give you for maths. So it was for him to understand that. They do like the City past papers, and they do that. So we did buy them. I think I never told my wife, but I probably spent about £800-900 of past papers. I think she'll kill me if she ever heard me say that, because she just said, how much are you going to keep wasting for schools you don't even want? But for me, it was the practice. I just thought the more and more practice he can get, the better it is.
Yes, definitely.
On there, you can buy like an Exam Plus. There was like a preparation for 11 plus exams for these private schools. And that was good because it gave you a list of words. It gave you a guide on how to prepare yourself for an interview. It was things you probably should work on from now. The thing is, if you buy at such an early stage, you've got time. Whereas we were cramping 50 pages a day, it would have been nice to do 5 pages a day, because then also the child doesn't lose focus on it. And when we're sitting there saying to Liam, no, you're going to have to do 50 pages, it's a lot. So I think if you can, probably look into that website and buy the things. For interview, it's a major importance when they go for these. If they're going for private school, it's really, really important. If you start getting, I would say, your children to talk to people. So I always taught Liam, everywhere we went, whoever it was, have a conversation and remember the conversation. So today, if we met somebody, one of our friends, Liam would always go in and introduce and say, hi, how are you? How was your holiday? This. And I always said to Liam, remember what they tell you, because the next time they come, bring that topic back up to them. So if they said they're going on holiday, next time they come, ask them how that holiday went. So we trained him to start being more confident, because that will all help you on the interview, that he's not nervous when you're going in.
What do they usually do on the interview? I have no idea. Sorry.
So in the interview, they will. Westminster was probably a difficult one. They probably did a full 8-hour assessment if you count it
Oh, wow.
time with exams. They got the kids to have lunch with the teachers. They got the they let the kids play in the playground while they're watching on the side. Got the kids to watch on the side, play while the teachers are watching. How kind are they to the other children?
Wow.
I sort of asked Liam the question, and I said, what kind of questions do they ask you in the interview? And, you know, like every child will come out and say, don't ask me, I don't know, I can't remember. And I'm like, you remember a lot, but you can't remember the question they just asked you half an hour ago. But it would be questions like, and all this interview pack on Exam Plus, it's about £100 for just that pack, the interview pack.
Oh,
But
okay.
it will go through every kind of question. You know, sometimes you're reading these questions thinking, why would you even ask something like that? But one of the questions they ended up asking him, which is, if you were a color, which color would you be and why? And it's so random, because if somebody asked me that, I don't know what to say. And I think he came out with, well, he doesn't want me to say, but you'll come out with your own answers. But it's just having that, being prepared, and not the one word answers. That's not what they're looking for. And they also don't want it to be seen as you've trained for it and someone's told you to say certain things. So I think one of the questions I asked Liam, and I got so angry when he told me what his answer was, and then I took a step back and I thought, actually, that answer you said was so right, because I think they asked him, apart from not academic, but what has been your greatest achievement, not academically? And he said, I have an uncle who plays Connect Four, and the last time I played, I kept trying and I beat him in Connect Four.
Oh.
He came out and I said, I put you through so many clubs, and you said you played Connect Four with your uncle, and that was your greatest achievement.
He was so attached.
Yeah, I was, you know, like I was inside fuming, going, I can't believe you would say something like that. And the more I sort of think about it, and I think actually that was such a right answer, because it's not modeled by a parent. You've shown that there was something that went important to you, that you kept trying to win, and nobody else could do it, but you were the only one that could able to do it out there. So you carried on trying and trying. So I think rather than him saying, oh, I could do the Rubik's Cube in 10 seconds or 20 seconds, because all the children can say that. They're all very smart kids, depending on what school you're selecting. They're smart kids. So you want to be a little bit different. And even I think when we had a speech from the headmaster for St. Paul's, and for St. Paul's, they asked the children to write a little bit of a bio about themselves. Just a little, what's your hobby? What do you like doing? And stuff like that. And their headmaster sort of addressed us, and he goes, I read so many interesting sort of paragraphs the children had written. He goes, I read about where children love volcanoes, and it was all this stuff that it was passionate to the children, but as parents we would have been like, don't write things like that. Don't write about volcanoes. Don't write about dinosaurs. Don't write that. But they were fascinated by it, because they never mind. Okay, sorry.
And so this is what they want. They want the kids to express themselves. They're not learning
True
a particular
selves.
topic.
Yeah,
That
so
also happens in these super selective schools like St. Ollis and that. When they have creative writing for stage 2, they normally take the boys who write something different. Because if you see, they ask you about not there was not this year, last year they asked about refugees. If you were one of the refugee, how would you connect with others? So
Yeah.
all the children would speak about things like, oh, I would give them this, I will go do this, that. But if they write about, if I was a refugee, I would prefer staying in this country and getting education for my kids and things like that. They would prefer something more than the kid just saying a random answer, what the parents have made them learn.
Nice.
So that's something newspaper reading. I mean, this is what I always used to tell all of them. Because try reading a newspaper. Because all the topics, what they're giving you, would be something what's happening now.
Okay. So, is there any kids newspaper? I was actually looking for some physical paper. Do you recommend any? If there are any?
There's no past papers for grammar schools, but
No,
they
no,
are
no. I mean the newspapers you mentioned.
newspapers is any newspaper. I mean,
Okay.
looking at the
I-
news, what's happening these days.
With the regards of the newspapers, I think even watching the news, because
Yeah, watching the
what
news
Yeah, I
because
mean,
kids
what
don't prefer looking at the newspaper.
yeah
They
what
see the news, what's happening.
I
Internet is
think
something everybody loves.
yeah, I think one of the questions on St. Paul's was, can you tell me, or Westminster was, can you tell me a recent thing that's happened in the news? And just that morning, luckily, Liam was reading about the Holocaust in
Okay.
Poland, because it was the anniversary, and I was telling him about, because I'd visited that site, so I was telling him about it. But it was just pot luck that morning he was reading that, and I made him read it. And if it's a story they're fascinated in, I told him to YouTube about it as well. And I said, do you know what? Why don't you YouTube the history about it so you understand what they're talking about? So they do. Some of the schools will, they'll probably most likely, and it'll tell you on that interview guide that you should be prepared on the news. But yeah, yeah, reading newspapers are good things.
I don't know. Nobody will read newspapers. They
Or
prefer,
the
yeah.
BBC News app. That's what we used to read. So on
yes,
my
they have
phone,
small bite-sized things also for the.
yeah.
I think
So
what the things what kids like is that the news shopper, what you when you go near on the trains, they give you on the trains
Metro.
free
Yeah.
of charge. It's
Oh,
on the chairs everywhere. So my son has a habit of picking them up and just reading them up.
yeah. My son, he is interested only in doing some puzzles. So,
Yeah.
But these things do help because I
thanks,
just
Amit,
want to
for
ask
all the
something. I think
details.
so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amit, for all the details.
Oh, you're
Congratulations
welcome.
to your family.
Thank you.
And one last question. How did you manage that little baby with all so much of pressure? I have one little baby too.
Oh yeah, you know what? To be fair, she's really good. She's well trained.
Oh,
She's really good. So I don't think we have much hassle from her. I just think she has to. Unfortunately, she's probably going to get it much tougher than Liam had it, because now we're aware of all this 11 plus and stuff, and we weren't aware before. So Liam also tells me, make sure, Dad, you give it to her as hard as you giving it to us, to me.
I know there's comparison is always there.
Yeah.
Firstly, when he came for this St. Oliv's Grammar School entrance, I was like, Neem, are you giving this one? Oh, yeah. I have a sister now. My parents don't want to spend more money on me. I said, what? He never
Yeah,
used
I
to tell
said.
me that I'm trying it for my sake. He always used to say, it's because of my parents I'm doing this.
Probably wrong of me. I said, if you're not gonna get into the schools you wanted, then at least I'll save the money for my education. So he's like, no, I'm gonna do it.
I used to hear that every time. I
Yeah,
need to pass this. I said, why? Because, I'm saving money. I said, what? For my sister. I said,
yeah.
how are you saving money? If I go to this school, my parents will save money. So it's automatically I'm saving money. These kids are really something. Arush, do you want to ask something? Johan,
That's good to know. Now I just need to know after school, how many hours should Arush study?
It, it, if he has, so another good thing you really need to do is get a musical instrument. They have to be at a high level, because it's what, if you're looking to go private schools, if you're looking St. Olave's maybe, or grammar maybe not so much. If you're looking for private, music is a massive thing. So if they can start, Liam started quite late on music, but we had to rush him through. So he started music about 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, and now he's doing his grade 5. So he'd come home, his typical day would be he'd come home, he would do half an hour music practice, we'd have dinner, and then he would probably do, depending on if he's had a club and he's come home late, if he's come home late from a club at 5 o'clock and then we've done piano, then I used to say, do you know what, just do your school homework and we'll leave it as that. If we've come home early and he's not had an after school club, then we'd at least do a 45-minute session to an hour afterwards. So I know in tuitions they all set homework. They've always got that homework to do. So it's good to get him to do that. Or if you start buying these books or you start buying these past exam papers, it's making a start on those. And it will be difficult at first because they're going to get things wrong, and it's that motivation to carry on and keep doing more and more. If I showed you how many we threw out, I had 1.5 black bags full of past exam papers that I threw out just a couple of weeks ago.
just say for your
That
daughter.
I think it'll be outdated by then. But
I have
that's
parents, you won't believe it. They actually do that.
yeah. I think
Their sibling is small, and
Yeah.
they save it for them. And when they come with to me after 6 7 years, they said, oh, we have the, you remember her sister came to you, we have the same books what my her sister did. So they have the
Yeah,
old books from 6 7 years old,
I
and the
think
old
things will
books, you won't believe
change.
it, they have not even changed a bit.
Oh, okay, maybe yeah, I should have, but he'd written in everything, so I had to get rid of it. But I guess if all the boys are listening here today, it's how much you want it. It's not so much how much your parents want it. Like I always say to Neo, you work hard while you're young, and you will have to work less when you're older. So I always say to him, me and my wife work every hour there is, and I say you don't want a life like ours. You want a weekend where you can enjoy yourself, you can have the finer things in life, but that comes with effort. So it's having that effort and having that discipline to say, actually, you know what, as much as my friends are gaming and they're doing that, I know at the very start, Niam was addicted to Roadblocks, and I think there's another game, Roadblocks and Minecraft. They were the two games he was absolutely addicted to. And it got to a point where we used to come home and he would be like, can I have your phone? And we very clearly said to him, look, if you ask like that again, and don't ask how our day was or tell us how your school was, you're not going to get that game ever again. And he accidentally made the mistake by asking for it again. And literally, my wife went and deleted it off every gadget we had. So whatever past game he'd built up, whatever he had done had gone. And we said, until we know addiction is gone, then you will not get it back. Until this day, he's never got it back because I think where I talk to some of his friends' parents and the kids are gaming all the time. Now that they've done the 11 plus, you can see who's gone ahead and who hasn't. And the parents who had that control and said, actually, we're not going to allow this gaming to carry on. Majority of them done really, really well. And then a couple of his best friends who are gamers every weekend, they're struggling to get a place in any school. So it does pay off. So I always say to even to my sisters, if you've got a PlayStation, get a hammer and smash the thing. It's the
And I would
worst.
say
It's the
that
worst.
one
It's
thing
the worst gadget.
I know gaming, I also stopped it with my son, but I would say there's one thing I want to say to the parents. You should also have a break. You also did a break. I remember that you guys went for a week in summer before he
Yeah,
did the summer course. Break is
yeah.
something very important. In that break, you should not do anything.
No, no.
For
Even
preparing in
even yeah.
summer.
Even when he watches. See, there's a mixed view about technology and how much kids will actually intervene with it, and is it good for them or is it bad for them? And all these schools will talk about it because it's a major topic at the moment that although you want your child to learn the traditional pen and paper methods, things are being taken over by iPads and laptops, and all these schools are trying to do a mixture of both. With Niam, what it was, we allowed him to use the iPad. All our iPads had a restriction time on them, so they had whatever we said you can use it. But it actually helped him because what I realized on the iPad, he was watching without it really seeming like educational. It was educational. It was facts. It was riddles. It was puzzles. It was chess. It was that. That's what he enjoyed. So we allowed it because actually we thought it's his relaxation time. And it's something, if he told me if I walked in and I saw him watching somebody else play a computer game and he's watching that I wouldn't have allowed because I say, what are you getting out of that? What were you physically watching somebody else play a computer game? So he got into a fact where he actually enjoyed just watching his own stuff on YouTube. But if you look at it, it was teaching him loads. He learned so much about certain things like different about the universe, and he'd be addicted by learning about flags. He loved geography, so he would want to know about what population each country is. So I think that all helps the child because what it is, their knowledge increases. And then now geography is one of his main. It's one of his best subjects. He always says, "Challenge me, Dad, on geography." And I bet you I can answer any question, whether you ask him a population or what countries next to each other, countries you've never even heard of, he'll able to tell you those.
No, that's there. That's good. But I would
Yeah,
say that there should be also some relaxation time, as you said,
yeah,
because I feel like I know some parents because what we used to give the online test, if you remember, I had one parent, he didn't do the online test. His son didn't do the online test. And he said, I woke him up at 5:30 in the morning to finish the online test. But, he was too sleepy. He didn't do it. And I was thinking in my mind, why would you wake your son at 5:30 in the morning just to do the online test? There
Yeah.
should be a limit. I mean, the
Yeah.
sleep is something which is really important for the kids. They should
Yeah.
you should have
I
a good sleeping time. It's not
yeah.
like you're preparing for any entrances. You should pressure them with the time and wake them up at 6:30 in the morning. I have parents who tell me, oh, Easter break is coming. Can you tell us the exact time, what time we should wake them up? And I said, what? I said, let them sleep. Because
Yeah.
if they are good sleepers, they will do good work.
Yeah.
If
But
you
even
wake them
now
up at
today,
7 in the morning, I don't think so. I can't wake up at 7 in the morning and somebody gives me a book to read. And
yeah.
I'll be
I
like thinking in my mind, what's wrong with my parents? I won't say, but this is in
yeah.
my mind.
So even today, Liam says to me every day, even yesterday, he said to me, Dad, I'm the earliest who goes to bed in my school. And we have it. So he's 11, turning 12 years old. He goes to bed, and which is still quite reasonably late. He gets upstairs to bed at 7:45 to be asleep by 8 o'clock. If they don't sleep enough, they're never going to able to focus. And we see it because sometimes we get carried on. We go out with friends. We let him go to bed late because we're having a good time, and then you can see it in the morning. The crankiness starts because the sleep pattern is gone. Then they don't want to study. You can forget the whole studying, and they're not interested in anything. So I think the sleep is very, very important. um
I'll tell
and
you the routine, what I used to do with my son. All of you would be different. He used to hate English like all the boys does. So whenever he used to start preparing for 11 plus in the summer, I'm talking about the summer, he used to get up in the morning. The first paper after breakfast always used to be English because that's the time they are fresh and he'll do it. He knew it that my mother will give me a paper which I don't like. Maths was the paper he always used to love. So that was the second paper. After I'm checking the English, he used to do the maths paper. So try doing two papers in the morning and then have a break, enjoy, do whatever they want, and then do two papers more. And this is the way I used to make him work because break is something I always used to feel like you should give. In the tuition, also, if you go for summer courses, you see that all your summer courses are not throughout. They also give you a break for eating because if doing a summer course in that, if your tutor is telling you summer course is 10 to 1, no break in between, it means that your child is not going to learn anything because 10 to 1 is something they'll be tired. I had it in our summer course. I used to wait for the break. After doing one paper, we used to have a break. And they used to say, it's a break time now. I said, no, it's a break time now. So after the break time, they all used to get fresh and again do something which all of them struggle in. So in the house also have the same pattern when you doing in the summer or in Easter, and just stop all the books, all the bond books, everything. I should say that if you're preparing for 11 plus or any other school, stop all the books from April and start doing Easter, start doing papers. Like exam plus papers are good, bond papers are good. There are a lot of free papers also. And also, if you're preparing for 11 plus, I would always say that go for private school papers also
yeah.
because private school papers are good and the standards are high. And this is what they need. And there are some websites which give you free papers. I'm going to tell you because you
Yeah.
got so much from Exam Plus.
I did get some free downloads. I did.
There were some free downloads
There
also.
was we did the free ones. There are and then I think you taught me that you can just put the question into chat gdp and it'll give you the
And
answer.
find the
So
answer.
a lot of times you'd find these past papers with no answers, so you'd be like, well, that's no good because then I'm going to have to work out the answer. So a lot we sort of stayed away from saying, oh, we can't do that one, can't do that. But then I think when I talked to you, you said to me, actually just type the question into chat gdp. And so for maths, became very easy because I'd just copy and paste, have two screens, copy and paste, and it'll tell you what the answer is. And it'll show you
Yeah.
how to work
But you
it
also
out.
need to be careful because sometimes they don't give the right answer,
Oh, don't
especially
tell
for
me that.
nonverbal. I
Yeah.
tried that with nonverbal once. I was
Yeah.
thinking, let me, if ChatGPT can give me answers for English and maths, they can also give me for nonverbal. So I clicked one picture and I put it for nonverbal. And the answer what I got was so funny. And I was like, what? So
I think it's
don't
also
try that for
yeah.
ChatGPT for non-verbal because they won't give you right answers.
Yeah, certain exams you sit. I know, right? City was they're done on the computer, and what it is, if you're answering the questions easily, the questions for you become more and more difficult. So it's trying to work out which level each child is in. So Niam said to me at the first when he started sitting the exam, he goes, "Dad, the first 20 questions were so easy and then they were just getting tough and tough, so they literally changed the questions for each boy sitting the exam just to see where they are and what level they're at."
Wow, that's good.
Yeah,
And this is also in grammar school also you have in the beginning the paper is really easy. And if you see that when the kids come out for the entrances, the first thing they say their parents is the paper is easy. And then when the parents ask them how easy was the paper, then they start speaking, oh, in the beginning the paper was easy, but towards the end the paper got
it's got
harder
hard. Yeah,
because
because I think yeah,
because they
even
remember only the first
yeah,
thing. They don't remember the
it,
second stuff.
even Niam did the grammar St. Olaf's, and he actually came out and said, actually, Dad, that was the maths was pretty difficult. Um, so even he found the maths quite difficult on that, and he said he didn't answer a couple of the questions because he found them too hard.
But maybe we did well because all the boys
Yeah,
who did our St. Olaf Stage 2 course, all of them passed.
yeah, yeah.
All of them got in. One of them is in the waiting list, that Ishan, and except him, everybody else passed.
Yeah.
And everybody said, oh, the paper was hard. And I'm like, okay. I said, okay, let's see this time. How will these boys do? But I think so. Boys are good in maths, all of them. Only English and creative writing is something they all should start working in. Because we started late in our tuition with all of them. And I used to see that topic is something else. They go opposite the topic somewhere else. And then you have to explain them each and everything. Okay. Think about this as you have to write what's going on
But I think that comes
with practice. I think so. You're muted.
the more and more papers they write, or the stories they write on creative writing, I think it's good. Even if you type on Google and just say image for creative writing, it'll give you loads of images. If you just
And
go and
GCSE also has it. I normally use in the tuition. If you go on GCSE, language, creative writing, you'll get a lot of them.
yeah, so just give your child a picture and say, here, write me a story about this picture.
I don't want to download anything.
Yeah,
If I go on the images,
images.
yeah, because I'm not in the mood to download
No.
it.
Yeah, so I used to just type in Google and just write creative writing image, and it'd give me a random one, and then I'd say, Niam, go away and actually write a piece for me about this.
Yeah.
But I think definitely that you should start from now, uh, because what it is when they first write it, it's only going to be very, very short. But as time goes on, they'll start writing a page and a half. But I think at the start, when he used to write a story and his whole time was one paragraph, and I used to look at it going, we've got such a long way to go. But yeah, I
I'm
just
so
think
sorry.
it's practice there.
Yeah. Any questions else? I think so. It's 7 o'clock now. Everybody must be hungry now for their dinner.
Just one last question, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
What about music practice which you mentioned that the child goes for grade 4? Are you guys doing Trinity or ABRSM?
For what? For piano?
Piano, yes.
He wasn't doing Trinity. He wasn't doing.
ABRSM?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you guys doing theory as well as practical? And do
Yes.
the marks count in your schools?
If you get up to, we missed it because what it was, like I said, we left things very, very late. And if you get up to grade 5, by the time you're doing these applications, you can actually go for a music scholarship. And they will
Oh,
ask you, they're very keen, but you have to be minimum grade 5 and sometimes playing a second instrument as well. Second instrument doesn't have to be at grade 5, but definitely your first primary has to be at grade 5.
so
That
do
for
you
the
take
tops.
Mhm.
So say that again.
I wanted to check, do you take your child for like face-to-face lessons somewhere in the center, or is it online? Because if you're doing 11 plus preparation, how did you manage with the
We
music?
we
Or
did
you had
face
tutor coming home?
no, we did face to face with a teacher. He used to start it at school. We found them very slow. So we took a private tutor to do it. So it's a one-on-one lesson. He used to do an hour a week with the one-on-one tutor, which he still does. It'd be straight after school. We'd drive there. He'd do his 1 hour on a Thursday. She would set his homework and what he had to practice. So as well as doing his 11 plus, that's why he had that. And that's why we didn't get to the grade 5, to be honest, because there was a point he felt it was too much. And he did say to us, look, mum, dad, how much can I do? And we said, do you know what? Forget the piano. We'll accept we're not going to go for a scholarship, a musical scholarship. We accept that. We were too late in the game. It's fine. Just concentrate on your exams. But if you've got time, it's probably just to get them to do the practice. Piano is one of the. My boy did piano, and it's every time you go for a new grade, it was very much that it you think it's impossible. The piece is impossible. You think it's way out of your scale, but give it a few months and they really start to get to know as long as they practice. So it's
Yeah.
still to date, he will do 45 minutes every day practice of piano, even though now
Oh,
we're not going for the scholarship. But I think now that we've invested so much into it, it's lovely. And Westminster's so big on music. He's actually said to me, Dad, I want to join the orchestra. So he's going to now pick up a second instrument to join the orchestra there.
if you
Uh,
don't mind, would you be able to share the tutor details, please?
I can do.
Mine one is doing a grade 4 at the moment.
Yeah,
So did you skip any grades or did you move from? Because mine one
I,
started
I,
from
s-
initial grade, then one, two,
I,
three, four. We didn't
I
skip
skip.
any.
I skipped one grade. I skipped 3. I went straight to 4.
Oh, okay.
I don't think because when you go on these applications, actually, no, to be fair, I lie. I was going to say it doesn't, they just see what grade you're at, but no, they do actually ask how you sat your exam, what was your grading. So they do want to check you've done it. But I think I missed that boat. I didn't judge it properly with that. But if you do want to get the music scholarships, because if you are going for private, the fees they've got higher and higher with the 20% VAT now added. So I think anyone who does get music scholarship, even if you get 10% off your fees, it's a massive difference. 10 to 20% off is a massive difference. Unfortunately, we missed the boat. So we'll try for, instead, we'll try for an academic scholarship in 2 years' time. And we'll try that way with Westminster.
Thank you so much. Let me know if you can share with ma'am the piano
Yeah,
tutor
I can
details.
send you the
Thank
piano
you.
teacher.
Thank
Good luck in getting a slot with her, though. I think she is. I could give you her details, but I think uh, as far as I know, the last person, she was just like, I don't have any more capacity. But give it a go. Someone might have dropped out, so I will show you the number. But just give her a call as soon as you can and see if someone's dropping out or something that you can take over their time. I know Niam's going to be dropping out on his session when he starts his new school in September. So
you.
he'll be either doing a weekend with her instead. But if she can't offer a weekend, then I think we won't have capacity to do it anymore.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and she's based in Beckenham, so I don't know how far you are from there, but she's
Sorry,
based in
which
Beckenham,
location?
in
Beckham is
Beckenham,
in Bromley.
Bromley,
Okay.
Beckenham.
Thank you.
So she's based there. Uh, but yeah, I think just overall, like I said, it's get enough exam papers done, get your child talking to everybody, and make sure they've got the confidence to talk from now. Because then when they go to the interviews, I've seen so many people get to the stage of an interview and then they cut half the children out from there onwards. So there is a lot of importance in that interview and how they present themselves because they're looking for a certain character. They'll tell you by the time your child has done stage 2, because some of these schools have 3 stages you have to do before they. I think somewhere like I'll use Westminster because we've chosen that. You'll do your ISEBs first. That's I think ISEBs is a must. If I don't know if your schools offer it or if they don't offer it, then you're going to have to go to an external school to get it done. But a lot of these schools will first feed in through your ISEB results. Um, So I think with ICEBs, I don't know what it stands for, but with ICEBs, what it is, they say the scoring system is an average child in the UK will be at a level of 100 points or whatever they call it, grade for ICEBs. That's the standard. His school that he was at, Dulwich Prep, they said that all children have to be at a stand of 120. Sorry, Liam, can you turn the volume down for 1 second?
I said it's
Uh,
basically the
yeah,
standard. They normally do the online testing for them
yeah. So
to see what level they are in.
what level they are. But if they
Yeah.
don't, if they can't pass the ICEBs, and I think for Atom Learning, they've got a lot on ICEBs. There's whole loads and loads of modules of ICEBs. So I think probably that's a good starting point, is to start to get them to do the ICEB exams on Atom Learning, because certain private schools will ask for those before they will even see you to do their exam. They'll look at that result first before they invite you to do their exam. So whereas the national is about 100 scoring, Dulwich Prep, where he went, they run at 120. That their minimum should be 120 children should be at that stage, because they work a year in advance. But when you go, I think the scoring's out of 145 or something like that. When you go for somewhere like Westminster or St. Paul's, they want a score of 140 to even 139 to even get invited to go and do your first set of exams with them. So I think just make sure you're brushed up on the ICEBs,
I know,
like
you know, these
anything.
grammar schools are also starting it.
Yeah,
13 plus. I have a boy and a girl who have given 13 plus. They have an online test and they have to get 120 from these ISETs. They normally do it for verbal and non-verbal.
yeah. Because it covers the whole, covers everything you covered
Yeah.
in tuitions. You'll get your English, you'll get your or non-verbal, you'll get your maths. It'll have all 4 sections in there.
So they must be starting in the future for grammar schools also now, because they have
Yeah,
started for 13 plus. So
yeah,
they have started in 13 plus, it's successful. They can do it again. So parents need to be prepared. The ones who have
yeah,
year four and year three kids, because this is something new, which we were also surprised, because the kids who give 13 plus, they only test them for math and English written, and they have these online tests in which the same way as you guys do that, and you have to get around 120 or 140 to get in.
yeah. So
So this,
that will teach you the broad of everything to start off with. I think that is your most important, to get those, and it will give you. Good thing about Atom Learning is it will mark it for you and tell you what the score is. So you'll get it instantly to say, actually, this is what your score was. These are the questions you got wrong. Then you can sit with your child and say, okay, let's go through the bits you got wrong. You can actually tell Atom, I want to focus more on those kind of questions. Give me more of those, and it'll keep just putting that practice in and telling them where they've gone wrong, and it'll explain it to them, the reason they didn't get full marks for it. So when you apply for these schools, they will want to see where you're going to sit for your ICEB exams. His school actually held it at their school, but some people, students, have to go to other schools to. You'll find it if you probably go on the website. They'll tell you where the examination center is. When you're filling your
Atom
application,
Learning has also started now. It was not the time you guys joined it. They also have it like for tutors like us. We can also set homework for you guys. So if
yeah,
your
his school
child is,
does it.
yeah.
His school
Now
does
I
it.
can
So
also
his
do
school.
it. So Atom is given ambitious learning that thing. Like if anybody wants to join Atom Learning from ALT, I can set homework for the child to the areas they're struggling in. So I have 4 5 kids who are doing Atom Learning from me, from our tuition. So I can set homework for the parents, like these are the areas your child needs to work on: vocabulary, English, or maths, or anything else. So if you have your tutors, you could also ask them if your child is entitled for that. This is something really good, because I've
Yeah,
seen children are improving when I do that with them. I set homework for them, and because as a tutor, you know the areas they're working on. They are
yeah.
struggling.
So when you do your Atom exam, they'll ask you which schools you're applying for. On their actual website, they'll ask you to fill in the schools you're applying for. You'll put in whatever schools there are that are which use the ICEB results. Those where you will never see the results. ICEB will never tell you what your child got. It will send it directly to the schools you're applying to. So it's very hidden unless you want to question the schools to say, why didn't I get invited for an exam? They might give you feedback and say, look, this was why on your ISEB exam you didn't get this right. But ISEB won't tell you what the result was at the end of it. It will just feed straight through to the schools directly that you put on your application. So where we used St. Paul's and Westminster, and I don't think Sevenoaks was, and I don't think City was, but the other two, they only invite you once they've seen those scores. And then they'll invite you to do their exam then, the first round of their exam. So you'll go in, do their exam, and then they'll invite you once again to then do an assessment on you. And only after that, they'll choose who they want to. So they will tell you from stage 2, every school clearly said, look, your children are bright. We know that. It's not now, we're not looking at the educational side of it. We know your children are capable of passing these exams, which we know they would fit in, but do they fit in as a character now? And that's where it goes to the whole interview and can they socially speak? Are they interactive with other children? And even when we went for the assessment days, Niam had seen one of his friends in the assessment room. And I remember whispering to Niam saying, stay away from him, because the last thing you want to do is your kids go off with people they already know, because they don't want to see that. They want to see you able to interact with children you don't know, and how quickly can you form friendships.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
Yeah, so it's just getting them to do that. So even when we go out to family functions and stuff, I will always say, look, Niam, there's a group of boys. Why don't you go and talk to them? And at first it was very much, oh, Dad, I don't want to. I don't know anyone. But now he'll go off, he'll make his conversation, and by the end of it, they're all friends. But it's just getting them that courage to do so.
I know Neem was always friendly. He's not like a boy who's always quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, so if your boy's quiet, get them out of that quiet stage.
Or send them to me. I'll make them speak.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's the main thing for me. I think start with the ISEBs and start with the past exam papers, as well as doing all the exam books at tuitions. But yeah, at a certain point, just move to the
What
exam
tuition do you
papers.
recommend?
Yours, of course, you got through.
I'm joking. I
I've
know you
already
would say
recommended you
me.
to quite a few people to say actually it did do him help. And I did ask him and I said, was it truly a help? And he said it was, Dad. I did learn some stuff that came up. So he goes, and it was enjoyment at the same time. It's not, I think if I sent him somewhere where it was purely just work, 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 they would get bored and not want to go back. So I think he had that enjoyment, he had that learning factor to it. So it's having the right balance.
That's good to know. Anything else, guys? I think so. We should close now. Thanks for such information. You have given really good information to all the parents.
Oh, you're welcome. Good luck with it.
Anything else anybody wants to ask? Looks like everybody's hungry now. Your daughter is so cute. She didn't even utter a word. She's sitting there
Oh,
so
should have done.
quietly.
Should have done. Maya,
Thank you so much
just need
for
to. Oh,
Hi,
you're
every
Maya.
welcome.
information.
You're welcome. Like I
Yeah.
say, if you put your mind to it, anyone could do anything. That's what I believe.
Yeah, each and every information is very important for us now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matters a lot.
I'm
Thanks
glad
a
your
lot.
boys heard it. I'm
Thank you,
glad your
ma'am.
boys heard it.
Welcome. This is the website I
Yeah,
was saying.
Yeah.
Past
a
papers
very,
from GCSE. Go for the foundation one.
it's a
And
very
just go with
informative
the creative
session, I
writing.
must
Only
say.
go for creative writing, nothing else in this. I used to
Yeah.
do that with all of them because these papers have creative writing also in them. I don't want your kids to practice GCSE, please don't. Because I know some parents would say, oh, Ashima said GCSE, so we are doing that. I'm just saying for the creative writing, that's it. Only the creative writing part from here, nothing else, please. That's all. Thanks, everyone. Thanks
Perfect.
for coming.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we'll just
Bye.
end it now.
you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye. So let me to stop recording. It's